full disclosure, I was a fanatic Obama supporter when I was younger. I mean, I believed every word he said. I checked nothing. I verified nothing. I just went all for it. So I really can empathize with people who did this with Trump. And that's why I'm trying to be a little kinder than I usually am. Because if you saw my content before the election, I'm pretty brutal when I'm breaking down.
That's what I love about you. Okay, so we're going to be joined now by Carey Wedler. So Carey is a content creator who focuses on breaking through authoritarian programming to promote peace, freedom, decentralization, and the evolution of consciousness. She previously worked as a journalist and editor-in-chief for the now banned Anti-Media, an independent news organization. She takes special interest in the intersection of spirituality, self-ownership, and anarchism as a path forward for humanity. And she's one of my absolute favorite people over on the tweeters. So Carey, thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I can't believe we've never spoken I know before. It's always
we have been buds on Twitter for a very long time, but we've never actually done a show together. So I'm very excited to have you here. And the reason I wanted to have you here is because you recently wrote an article, which by the way, here you go, everybody. If you want to go follow Carey over on Twitter, it's at Carey_Wedler. Go check that out, please. Follow. Criminally underfollowed, in my opinion. You can also go to the website where there's links for all of the stuff. And then this is the Substack. It's called Pleasure to Burn. Go support all of that good stuff. So, and you can see the article there that we're going to be discussing 5 stories you probably missed during the Epstein circus. As I was just talking to Kurt about, there's often a shiny object that they like to throw at us when there's other things going on behind the scenes. So here's the article if you guys want to go check it out. So let's talk about these 5 stories that people should know about and probably don't. So what's this first one here, Carey?
Yeah, well, first, I just want to put in a quick word about this article format, which is something we used to do at the Anti-Media before we were banned, when there were all these media feeding frenzies. It seemed really important to us to bring attention to other things. And it's something that's been adopted by like the mainstream alternative media now, where they'll do these stories, but it's all filtered through MAGAism and like the Trumpian narrative. So I was exciting to write something like this again. So let's get into it. The first one, this is really an escalation of existing tactics and trends, but the Pentagon awarded contracts for up to $200 million each to 4 different contractors. And this includes Elon Musk, his XAI, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, Anthropic, which is a little less well-known. They do the LLM Claude, which is actually pretty good, but it's viewed as like the safety AI. And then, of course, there's Google, who we know has a long history of contracting and doing deathly immoral things. And what was the other one? Not
OpenAI.
OpenAI. I'm looking at it. So I've got Google, OpenAI, XAI, and Anthropic. So those are the 4. And they're not hiding it. They're looking for AI in the war fighting domain, as well as intelligence, business, and enterprise information systems. This is on itself, this is not a new trend, but it's yet another escalation. And it goes along with things that I'm sure some of this audience has heard about the appointment of tech executives to be lieutenant colonels in the Army. Yeah. They have no military background, as far as I know. They're not going to be doing further training, but they are being very much integrated into the fabric of the existing military-industrial complex.
Yeah, and if anybody was ever curious why Elon Musk, with his little Doge extravaganza, never went after the Pentagon, this is why. He gets a lot of money from them. He gets a lot of money. Yeah, so, I mean, this really should surprise nobody. This is exactly the type of thing that they've been working on for a very long time. The AI thing, moving the military into a more AI, which is terrifying. But yeah, this is one of those stories that, and by the way, obviously we're just doing like a very quick hit on each of these 5 topics. Highly recommend you go and research it for yourself, check it out, inform yourself, all of that good stuff. Share with your friends, because these are stories that are not being covered. So what's this number 2 one?
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue, because I wanted to add one more thing, which is interesting, that at the end of May, Pete Hegseth, the Department of Defense leader, gutted a office within the Pentagon for testing weaponry, like for making sure it operates properly. And I didn't include this in that post because I couldn't verify 100% that the contractors and the contracts that I was talking about would have been directly tested by this office. It's so bureaucratic there. So I didn't want to make assumptions I could not prove. But I think that's really interesting because, well, the Pentagon wages a lot of war. They are currently bringing AI into warfare. And this actually goes down with something a little bit we'll get to in a couple minutes. But as everyone heard, the Trumpian strikes obliterated the nuclear sites in Iran, and everybody believed it, and the CIA confirmed it, and it's headed by a Trump stooge, John Ratcliffe. Yeah. So this is another report that came out, and of course, okay, well, for one, MAGA would deny it. It's not true. This is the deep state. It's illegal leaks, and they're trying to make us look bad. It's hard to say because everything that has to do with American warfare and empire is so obscured by narrative and bluster and so many layers of lies and deception. But according to this report that came out, it was based on the testimonies of several people from the intelligence community. Shockingly, those sites were not actually destroyed. And they could start making nuclear weapons if they wanted to, the Iranian regime, within months. And it was previously said, it's going to be years before they can do anything. It turns out that's probably not true. And I think a lot of people didn't buy that from the beginning. So that was cool to see. There's still there's a mounting, I think, level of dissent and skepticism of things like bombing Iran right now.
Yes. And that, I think, if we're going to look for a silver lining, which is not really in my character to do, I am a very cynical person. I admit it, very self-aware about it. But I do think that there is a little silver lining because I think we are starting to see people be very suspicious and skeptical as they should be. And I think a lot of people are now. And I think, honestly, Israel's done a fantastic job of pushing that forward because they've been caught in so many lies, like real time busted in huge lies, the 40 beheaded babies and the errant Hamas missile with the hospital. And I mean, we could just go on and on and on, the rape allegations, all of that stuff. So they've been caught so many times that I think so many people who maybe wouldn't have asked questions before, not just about Israel, but about a host of things, are now really starting to ask questions. And this Iran thing is obviously ridiculous. I think it might have been Dave, somebody in anti-war also covered this whole thing about that they're going to be back up and running within a couple of months probably. But Trump obliterated their and it's silly. It's like they're still using 2003 war propaganda. It's like, you guys haven't updated it. You guys are pretty skilled at manipulation. You're still going with the same old talking points. And it finally is starting to wear thin. They use, I think it was in Ukraine, they used the Viagra stories from Iraq. Yes, they use, Russia's given all of their soldiers Viagra. Y'all did this in Iraq. Can we please get some better writers? Like, it is absurd. The 40 beheaded babies. When I heard 40 or whatever, I immediately thought incubator babies.
Exactly.
Like, they're just redoing the same stuff. And I think what's fascinating about that is that Israel actually killed a bunch of babies in incubators. They just turned off the power and made all the doctors leave, and a bunch of babies just died laying in incubators, left alone. I mean, usually, especially with Israel, that if they're accusing somebody of doing something, they've probably done it themselves.
Exactly.
It's all very absurd. Okay, let's move on to number 3. CBDCs. This doesn't, and I'm guilty of this too. I don't talk about this nearly enough. So tell us what's going on here.
So one of the big things that was a selling point for anti-establishment types in voting for Trump, which if you watch my content, you know that I think that was a ridiculous line of thought. But a lot of people who believe Trump's promises were very adamantly opposed to a central bank digital currency, which traditionally would be issued by the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank that is very shadowy and very much intertwined with the federal government and centralizes power and control and money. We could talk about that for forever, really. But when Trump issued an executive order back in January, it was purported to be a ban on CBDCs. But in the same order, as it says in this text of the article, he was promoting support for stablecoins, which are kind of like CBDCs with an extra step. They are tied to the US dollar. They continue to promote US hegemony. What's interesting is that Howard Lutnick, his Secretary of Commerce, who previously ran Cantor Fitzgerald, that firm is deeply invested in Tether, which is a stablecoin. And now Lutnick's son is running the company. So I don't know, maybe somebody stands to benefit from legislation like this. Not that it's all being done for Howard Lutnick. Obviously, it's much bigger than that. But in the Genius Act, it's all about creating a regulatory framework for stablecoins, which is going to help propel it into the mainstream. You have big banks now looking at adopting them. But there are some very questionable provisions in this act. And I have some of the text pulled up. So part of it is about, I have 3 things right here that I should have labeled better. But the stablecoin issuers it's so funny. So There's an exception to sharing non-public information in this bill because the bill says you can't share this information. But there are exceptions for, one, to comply with federal, state, or local laws, rules, and other applicable legal requirements, to comply with a properly authorized civil, criminal, or regulatory investigation, subpoena, or summons by a federal, state, or local authority, and to respond to judicial process or government regulatory authority having jurisdiction over the public company, which is very garbled, but kind of clear speech, basically to say, like, we're in power and you're going to comply with us and you're going to be our henchmen and our goons and our stooges, and you're going to report anyone doing anything that's not authorized to us so we can enforce it. It also establishes, per the Banking Secrecy Act, it establishes provisions for monitoring transactions, for reporting illegal activity. It's a whole rat's nest of extending the existing surveillance infrastructure, but now extending it into the new technology that they are looking to make very mainstream.
Yeah.
I'm going to fiddle with my lighting here real quick. It's getting very harsh in my face.
No, you're fine. I get it. 100% I get it. Friday, I hosted the show, and I have had issues with headaches and migraines since like my early to mid 20s. And like 4 minutes into the show, I got what's called a crash migraine, which is just like onset real fast. Like it's like 4 minutes in, and I'm like, and then I've got these lights, and I'm like seeing stuff.
Yeah, lights are the worst. I used to get migraines. I so relate. It is brutal.
Yeah. People keep telling me that as you get older, that you get less of them. I'm 43. I still get them a lot. So I'm hoping maybe as I get older, they'll go. They can't figure out why. My mom also gets them. I think it's just genetic. Lucky me. Yeah. But there you have it. But yeah, the Genius Act. The reason why I even wanted to talk about this is because of the Genius Act. Is a lot of people that I follow on Twitter were talking about it. Jason Bassler, Derek Bros, a bunch of different people. Those are kind of their wheelhouse type things. And I wish I would have included this tweet in the slideshow, but Jason said, so you heard about the Coldplay cam, but didn't hear about the Genius Act quietly passing, laying the groundwork for stablecoins to track your every move and lock down your financial freedom. Congrats. You're exactly the distractive captive they want to control. And that's harsh, but true. Like we're all laughing at the Coldplay cam, which listen, was funny. That was very funny. The memes that came out of that were quality, but there were things happening. And that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this because, there's a lot going on that, the shiny object distracts us from. So, okay, let's talk about number 4. What's going on here?
This is one of my biggest pet peeves about the anti-establishment Trump base, which is they were convinced that he was going to end all the wars and he was going to promote peace, and Donald Trump is the peace president and everybody else is going to go to World War III. And a lot of us who did not fall for the MAGA rhetoric have known for a long time that Donald Trump was never anti-war. His record speaks for itself. I have a whole article on my Substack about all of the ways that he was extremely pro-war, but here's another example. So it turns out that in the first 6 months of his presidency, he has waged almost as many airstrikes as Joe Biden did in his entire term. And I'm not a Biden apologist, not a Biden supporter. That's how bad.
Crazy.
Yeah, right. It's that is staggering. 6 months versus 4 years. And from what I read, the majority are in Yemen, which is like, have they not suffered enough?
Right.
And has the strategy not proven ineffective for long enough? This has been going on 4 years. It upholds the existing power structures of the Saudi-led regime, or the Saudi-led bombing campaign by the Saudi regime. This has been going on for so long. And Trump actually, when he was president the first time, vetoed a congressional bill that was supposed to end U.S. involvement in Yemen. And he said that he vetoed it because it would undermine his authority, his executive authority. So he really wants to have the power to bomb a poor country that's suffering with starvation. I think, was it cholera? There was some horrible, I think it's cholera. They're so under the thumb of Western imperialism, and it's not enough. You got to keep bombing them. And it's, after 20 years, obviously, and it'll work. Finally, they're going to really finally take out the terrorists. But it's again, just such a war is peace, ignorance is slavery, all of that, or ignorance is truth. Wait, no, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is truth. Yeah. It's all of that wrapped into one, because he will still talk about what a peace president he is. And he's still being floated as a Nobel Peace Prize nominee. And it's just like, it's really hard to believe.
I think it's hilarious, Carrie, that Benjamin Netanyahu nominated him. Listen, I'm a true crime nerd. So this flew over everybody's head on Twitter, because not a lot of people on my Twitter are true crime people. When I tweet about true crime or sports, everybody's like, what are you talking about? But I said it's like John List nominating Chris Watts as Father of the Year. So those are both family annihilators for those of you that don't get it. But the idea that Benjamin Netanyahu, and you're right. I think that it drives me absolutely insane. We've we've bantered about this on Twitter before, but the MAGA base pretending like this man has ever been anti-war is absurd on every level. I'm astonished at the number of people that fell for it. And like intelligent people bought into this, or at least bought into a level of the hope, the copium, that they're like, oh, well, maybe he'll be, slightly less repugnant than Kamala Harris. Like, it's just so ridiculous. And it drives me crazy too. And I'm glad to see, we were just talking about with Kurt, I think that at least on some level, the MAGA base is questioning him. Some of them, there's some that are embarrassing and so shoved up his anus that they cannot even breathe anymore. But there are a certain percentage of them that are at least asking questions. Some of them are being very vocal. And that's good. I think that that's at least a little bit of a positive. They are starting to at least attempt to hold him accountable, which is, we can't really do that, but okay, so let's move on to this last point here of the 5 stories that we probably haven't heard of. So what's this one about?
Oh, yeah. So this is a big one for the MAGA, Make America Healthy Again base, because one of their big concerns is fluoride in the water. And I know the left, the mainstream left, they like to mock anything that deals with something like that. But this has been well documented for a long time, that fluoride in children can affect neurocognitive development. This is not like the article I linked to is from Harvard. This is not like I'm not, I'll just leave it at that. But what happened was there was a ruling in September 2024. I'm calling it a decision because I'm not a lawyer. Maybe there is a distinction between ruling and decision, but the decision was from a federal judge that the EPA needed to do something. They needed to take some regulatory action to address the potential risks of fluoride in the water supply. He didn't say what. He didn't say it had to be banned. It was just, you guys got to, figure it out and do something. And right at the end of the Biden administration, they decided to appeal that decision. Now, I don't know if the Trump administration has taken that exact appeal and they're just continuing it, or if they're creating their own, but they're basically trying to overturn that decision, saying that something needed to be done. And this is really flying in the face of the promises Trump made to the MAGA base. And he also even said back in November that if RFK Jr. wanted to do that, he would be okay with it. It wasn't like the most resounding, like, yeah, let's do this, we're going to take water. But he gave tacit approval for this. And now, of course, the administration is backtracking. This is something they've done on a lot of things. And they're cheering about, I don't know, like getting cane sugar and Coca-Cola over high fructose corn syrup. And we're going to be healthy. Thank God I can have more sugar in my diet. Like, but it's just such a slap in the face. And my sensibility is not that things should be banned. Obviously, there are chronic health issues in this country. I've had them, I'm no stranger to how sick this country is. But I personally don't believe in trusting this government to regulate things into safety, because the job they've already done has created such a mess. It's contributed so much to the disease and the illness now that I think for so many issues, including this, when it comes back to our communities and our personal autonomy and our agency. And I understand that there are bigger trends and there are bigger disadvantages, and certain people have more access to certain things. I don't want to undermine or diminish any of that. But when it comes to people like this in positions of power and this government, I'm going to pass on having them keep me safe. I'm good. I can handle this one on my own.
Well, and that's, people continue to talk about having universal health care. And that sounds good, right? Like I was a big proponent of universal health care until COVID. And then when you realize that universal health care means that the government is going to be in control of said health care, I think I'm good on all that. And I'm not smart enough to have all the answers. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I think we need to start looking at alternative potential possibilities for the healthcare situation. But I wanted to bring up the last couple of paragraphs here from the article, because it's kind of what I was just alluding to earlier. Not all the news has been grim. If nothing else, Trump's decision to abandon his base over Epstein has led many to question their once unflinching support for him. Further, the developments noted in this article provide further evidence that Trump is not the anti-establishment freedom fighter he and his team made him out to be. As I wrote last week, go check out that article as well. This can be a painful experience, but it's also an essential one in the conscious evolution away from subservience to corrupt and coercive power structures. As the regime continues to paint its technocratic authoritarian reign as a resounding success that's ushering in America's golden age of freedom, prosperity, and transparency, it remains essential to shine light on the many policies and actions that disprove this narrative. And that is so well said, because that is, I think, what we're really up against at this point. And you're right. It is a painful experience. And I think that being somebody who's more, I'm very politically homeless, but I'm often lumped in with the left just for whatever reason, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. There's a lot of things I don't agree with them on. There's a lot of, I don't do isms or cults, not interested. But I will say that watching the way people handled the absolute betrayal of Bernie Sanders, I feel is a very similar situation that we're seeing MAGA go through now. And I will admit, I'm not great at being patient and or kind to these people at times, because to me, it is so obvious and it's very frustrating to watch otherwise intelligent human beings fall for this nonsense. Yeah. However, it is good that a lot of them are coming around. So do you see that that's going to, because here's my concern as a cynic. The same people who are now questioning Trump and are starting to see through it and all of that stuff, I am very afraid that they're going to fall for the next demagogue, JD Vance, or whoever Elon Musk runs in his America party. So are you more hopeful than I am, Carrie? Because I'm not very hopeful.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. There are going to be plenty of people who are upset now, who are going to have the next politician, the next shiny thing come around and tell them they're going to fix everything and they don't have to be scared and they don't have to, worry about it anymore. And they're going to fall for that. But I do think that there's at least a small percentage of people who have had enough, because I think for a lot of the MAGA base, Trump was it. It's like, well, if we don't get Trump in, it's over. Yeah. And I don't think it's over. It's not over, whether you like Trump or not. This is not the end, but it's what has to change is that acceptance of responsibility away from politicians and toward ourselves, and the ability to organize for ourselves, not this top-down oligarchy with these people at the top just giving us nice rhetoric. And so it's going to take time, I think. And full disclosure, I was a fanatic Obama supporter when I was younger. I mean, I believed every word he said. I checked nothing. I verified nothing. I just went all for it. So I really can empathize with people who did this with Trump. And that's why I'm trying to be a little kinder than I usually am. Because if you saw my content before the election, I'm pretty brutal when I'm breaking down.
That's what I love about you.
But I'm trying to be more empathetic, because I was there too. I was not born seeing through all this stuff. Some people were, and it's really impressive. Yeah. If you're one of those people, that's very cool and good for you. But I had to go through a really painful experience, and I went from Obama to another politician, and then I started to get it, and then I started to look more broadly at the system and see that, oh wait, this is a feature, not a bug, as it said. And I think that there are going to be some people who start to realize that with Trump. And and some of them
we're seeing it. Yeah, no, we're seeing it. I mean, and I think you're right. Some of them are out now, they're out, and I think that they'll stay out. I think that there's a not insignificant amount of them who are going to get roped back in, unfortunately. But maybe I should be nicer, because it's, you catch more flies with honey or something, whatever. Right. I'm not great at that though.
Same.
Especially on Twitter. I'm making excuses a little bit, because I could put an effort into thinking before I respond or whatever, but I deal with so many trolls that my snark is on a hair trigger. I'm just I just dismiss people as trolls immediately. I don't even pause to think, are they asking a genuine question, or are they making a genuine, I'm just immediate snark. So I need to probably get it. But yes, I do think that there are going to be some people who are now free of the facade that is electoral politics. But it's just, and I'm glad that you brought up the fact that we need to start taking accountability for ourselves. We need to start organizing outside the system, I think, is the biggest thing that we can be doing right now. And people always ask me, oh, then what's your plan? And I know you get that all the time too.
Oh yeah.
Well, tell people, what's the plan, Carrie? What's your plan if you're not just going to go vote?
Yeah. And then I tell them and they're like, no, that's not good enough.
Right.
Like, well, you asked, I gave you my ideas. Do you have any ideas? Like,
no.
And what I found is usually that question, sometimes it really is in good faith. A lot of times it's just people who are unable to hear you and they're looking for any kind of deflection of like, let me discredit this person. Let me just make them cynical or negative or pessimistic or whatever. And that's the reason that they don't like my authority guy. It's because they want to be mad. And we all got that before the election. We got you're just black-pilled. You'll see Donald Trump is going to liberate us. It's all going to get so much better. We're going to get the Epstein files. I think I actually bookmarked a tweet. So like basically saying that. And I was like, I'm going to save this for later. And now I feel too empathetic to put them on blast. But it's like that. It's such a pervasive mentality. And I think moments like these, even though it's hard for a lot of people, this is where people with our views really have an opportunity to reach them. There's a certain vulnerability there when you realize that the things you believed with certainty are not actually true. And I'm like really, really trying to not be a huge bee about it because there is a sense of, and there is a sense of vindication because I never actually supported Trump. I never fell for it, but there were people on social media before the election that had me not like questioning my views because I'm pretty grounded in what I believe and I'm pretty well researched, but there was this little voice in my head of like, what if you're wrong? Are you going to have to make like an apology video acknowledging that actually Donald Trump is the savior? Like, and I didn't think that was actually going to happen, but these people were so fervent that it's kind of hard not to, I try to be accountable even to myself. I don't want to give into my own biases. So I was trying to be honest with myself of like, well, what if he really is going to save us all? It turns out I don't have to worry about that because he's not going to do it. But,
and you're right. There is a sense of like vindication when you're like, oh yeah, see, I was right. Like and it's hard to not do the I told you so dance, even though, listen, I wish I was wrong. Exactly. I really do. Me too. I wish I was wrong about Mom Donnie or however you say his name in New York. I wish I had been wrong about AOC. I wish I had been wrong. I wish I was wrong. I really do. I wish that there was somebody coming along to save us. It's just not happening. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Carl Sagan. And in Pale Blue Dot, he says, nobody's coming to save us. And when I was very young and I heard that for the first time, that stuck with me. That phrase stuck with me. Nobody is coming to save us from ourselves. And that's just the reality of it. So we have to start doing it for ourselves. I mean, and it's okay. We can do it. But I mean, we have to stop falling for the BS first. And that's a huge part of it. So, okay, Carrie, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on like any social media platform. You can see the spelling of my name. It's not common. So CareyWedler. You can find my Substack. It's called Pleasure to Burn, which is actually a reference to the novel Fahrenheit 451. I talk about it a little bit in that top post that's pinned to the top. But having come from censorship and just being aware of the dystopia, that really resonated when I chose the name. So Pleasure to Burn. I have a weekly post. I try not to spam people, but I like to stay consistent with my content there. And that's about it.
Yeah. And she makes amazing, like kind of short form videos where her snark flies and I love it. They give me great joy. So
this is my Valley Girl sass fused with some really fringe belief.
Yes. I love it. Every second of it. So, okay, Carrie, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. It was good to finally speak. Yeah, it's good to speak face to face finally. So we'll do this again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Oxnard, California, Rutherford, New Jersey, New York, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.